All right, so shall we get started?
Might as well bring the
Oh.
wonders in.
Once again, want me out of the way, get the
No,
wonders in
no.
there.
You'll be back.
Okay. Ready?
All set. Please envelop this entity so completely in love that all needs, wants, and desires are chosen.
And greetings.
Greetings, wonders.
Greetings, Maggie.
Would you please go to whom, to where, and to when you are directed? Would you please locate your facilitator, Maggie McGuffin Cadet, on September 11th, 2006?
Yes, we have you.
We are gathered here at 8361 11th Line, RR number 2 in the town of Thornton in the province of Ontario, to do a reading for the Wonders Hour radio show. May we begin?
Please.
Thank you. Well, Wonders, I have a lot of questions from our listeners.
Good for you.
Yeah, and may I start with one?
Please, anytime you choose, dear friend.
Okay.
What would you like to know?
Well, this is one. Do we attract friends according to our sense of appreciation? What are the hallmarks of a good friendship?
Absolutely. Yes. You do attract friends based on your sense of appreciation. See it from this perspective. You cannot appreciate, you cannot perceive in another that which you're not willing to perceive within yourself. So as you yourself appreciate portions of yourself, then you can appreciate in others. Now, the whole question actually must begin with a question of define friends.
Could you define friends then, Wonders?
We thought you'd do that.
Oh, you're asking me.
Yes. What do you think friends are?
Well, I think a friend is someone who shares themselves with me.
But then a dog can do that.
Yeah, that's true. Who's honest and open and communicates.
Is interested in you?
Is interested in me, for sure. Yeah.
In other words, not just someone who wants to communicate with you, but someone who has an interest in who you are.
Exactly.
Now, why would someone have an interest in you, or why would you have an interest in someone if you couldn't perceive something in them that you'd be interested in?
Exactly.
So the key is for you to realize that if you appreciate within yourself that which is within yourself, then you can observe the interest in another, can't you?
Yes.
So the more you appreciate in yourself, then it could be said that the more friends you could have. Because in truth, then, you could appreciate everything in everyone else. Couldn't it?
That's true.
So the key for you to realize is, and for all the audience members to realize here, is that if you have limited friendships, it's quite simple because you have limited appreciation of yourselves. If you have broad, expansive friendships, and to the degree, some, of course, would be more intense than others, some more willing to share themselves with you than others. But the key is you would not. The more you have, the more you realize you're appreciating within yourself. And we're not saying here quantity as much as a variety of friends. Do you see?
I see.
If you have one friend, for example, who's only interested in how much compliments you can give him or her, then you know that that friend is very self-interested, aren't they?
Yes.
And that would mean you're self-interested too.
Ah, I see.
You see? Mm-hmm. Because you can appreciate that in you, you would seek out someone who appreciates it in themselves.
Yes. If you were self-interested yourself, though, you would want someone to always talk about you. So would you even develop a friendship with a person who was very self-interested? Because you'd have to talk about that person
You
all
would,
the
but it
time.
would be with a person whose self-interest is different from yours.
Oh,
Still
yeah.
self-interested,
I see.
but different. Mm-hmm. For example, you might be self-interested in the sense of your own beauty, for example.
Right.
Someone else would be self-interested in the sense of their ability to make money. You see?
Ah, right.
Two, both self-interested, both then complementing each other.
I see.
Do you see how it works? Mm-hmm. Interesting, isn't it?
It is. That kind of leads into our other question. The listener writes, I've been wondering for a while now about other people being our mirrors. That which we see in others is what we ourselves are like. Could you ask the Wonders to explain this a little more? Are we drawing to us...
Well, don't go any further here.
Okay.
When you're reading these questions, dear friend, make them yours. And it's sufficient to say that you're actually reading them for somebody else, but also make them yours.
Okay, Wonders.
Because look at it from this perspective. That's a question on itself, isn't it?
It certainly is.
So to ask 3, 4, 5, or 6 questions and then get us to answer all at once, dear friend, that takes away from the flow, doesn't it?
It does.
So let's go back to the flow.
Okay.
And you want to know now about mirrors.
Yes. About other people being our mirrors.
Yes, not the kind that you look yourself at.
Right.
But people.
Yes.
Again, though, the same statement applies. You cannot see in another what you're not willing to see in yourself. If you look at another and you say, for example, that person is, term it, go back to self-interested.
Okay.
All they care about is themselves. Well, guess what? That's in you. You may not be applying it to the same extent that that person is. You may be applying it more or less, depending on your choices. Do you think? But it's still within you, isn't it?
Yes.
And to a degree, if you observe it carefully, what we suggested by saying that you cannot observe in another what you can't observe in yourself, and by suggesting that the more you observe in yourself, the more friends you'll have, you'll begin to realize that what we're saying here is that if you observe yourself completely, you'll realize you have a little of everything in yourself.
Yes.
But if you don't judge any of that, if all you do is observe it without judgment, quite simply realize that it exists within you, then you won't judge anybody else, will you?
Exactly.
But if you judge yourself for being self-interested, then you'll judge another for being self-interested as well. You may observe the self-interest, but you'll judge them for it because that judgment is in you. Do you think?
Yes.
So the key here is not to simply look at someone and say, this is who they are. Then that, dear friend, is ultimately what you're looking to achieve. But understand that most people, when they look at someone else, judge that person. They judge the person's choices, they judge the person's effects, they judge their movement. Do you see?
Yes. From everything they're judging from within themselves.
They're judging themselves, yes. They judge that part of themselves. As we said, let's take a look at self-interest, for example. If you yourself were self-interested, and you were to judge that self-interest, then you'd look at someone else who's self-interested and you'd judge them for it.
Right.
But if you were self-interested and you simply observed that that was there, then you just simply observe it in another and never judge them for it.
I see.
Do you see?
Yeah. Interesting.
So, of course, we're only giving you interesting answers, aren't we?
Yes.
So what are you going to do with all of this now?
Well, can I continue on with some of these questions?
You may.
All right.
You obviously can.
Yes. May I? Yes.
Yes.
Let's see.
Perhaps you should look at the time, though.
Oh, yes. I've got a few more minutes here, Wonders.
Good.
Okay. Continuing on with that, the person is wondering, and I am too, if this comes from our subconscious or if people are just simply mirrors.
Now, understand, again, it comes down to this. Subconsciously, everything that exists in the subconscious at one point in time existed in your conscious mind. You see?
Yes.
So even past lives, awarenesses of that, awarenesses of previous choices in past or future existences, all of that exists in your subconscious mind, but at one point in time was conscious as well. Do you see? So it had to move from the conscious to the subconscious. When you were incarnated, you were created with a mind of which a portion was the subconscious mind that had the memories of all of existences. Do you see?
Right.
And the awareness of all choices made. Now, as you exist in your existence, you consciously make certain choices, consciously make certain observations, and that moves eventually into the subconscious mind. So when you observe something in another, you may think to yourself that it's subconscious, but we assure you the observation is very conscious. The co-relationship of it, the interrelationship of that to yourself may be subconscious, and you have to bring that awareness back to the conscious mind in order to be fully aware. But it does exist in the conscious first before it goes into the subconscious. Do you see?
So it goes from conscious into subconscious and then back to conscious mind in order to observe?
Yes.
Okay.
Cool, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And then from there it goes back into the subconscious.
Yes, because you file it away eventually.